Hi everyone, welcome back to Yellow Cottage Soapery. I am making Plumeria soap, and I'm going to try to pipe on the top Plumeria flowers. If you've never seen them before, they're just a 5-petal flower. They come in a bunch of different colors. A lot of times the center of the flower is a little bit different color than the petals. Sometimes it's not. I'm going to be doing them in a bright pink color, Voodoo Pink from Matte Oils. And I'm going to do 2 other colors. I'm doing white as well, but just a little bit of white. And Tahitian Teal from Matte Oils, as well as Key West from Matte Oils, this pretty blue. I'm going to do equal parts of the teal and the blue and kind of try to pour them each on their own side. And then I'm going to take the pink and a little bit of white and put it sort of down the center and then do a hanger swirl. And the top, like I said, I'm going to try to pipe some Plumeria on it. And Plumeria has kind of brownish stem as opposed to like green. So I'm going to do a little bit of a brownish stem. I have it mixed up here in just this tiny cup, just to put a little soap in it. I don't want to add the brown into the soap, but I want a little for the top. And the same thing with piping the leaves on the top. I've mixed a little bit of pine mica with some glycerin, and I'll just use a little bit of that for the leaves. And let me real quick give you a fragrance description. It's a dupe of Bath & Body Works Plumeria, and it is a sweet floral combination of jasmine, lilac, rose, and lily of the valley with light fruity notes of peach, lemon, lime, and tart green apple. Now, sometimes I find because I make so many florals, that sometimes there's not a huge difference in a couple of them. They're just florally. I think it's the ones that have a mix of a lot of different florals in them. But this particular one has a unique smell to it, and I can't say for sure if it's just like the Bath & Body Works, because I've never actually smelled that one. But it's really nice. I do like it. It's not too perfumey. Some of them can be too perfumey, and for me, it just gives me a headache. I like more of a toned down floral. This one's really nice. You can smell a little bit of fruity in it, a little bit of green in it. So it's nice. And another thing I was going to say, I'm going to strain my lye solution just because it does have some lilac in it for whatever reason. Now, I made this lye solution and another one for the next batch, and this particular one had lilac, the other one did not. And you would think the reason it does it is because there's not enough water to dissolve the lye, which really is not the case, because it's the same recipe that I always use, and I never have an issue with it dissolving in the amount of water that I use, because I do soap with a water discount. So it's kind of strange, but either way, I just strain it just to be safe. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. I did read that this fragrance does speed up a little bit, which is common for florals, and I did read that it rices sometimes, so I'm planning on it ricing, and I'm okay with it thickening up because I don't need it to stay fluid, so it's fine. I almost would rather a little acceleration than ricing. Ricing kind of drives me nuts, but I did want to say, I meant to say this a while ago, and then I guess I just didn't. For a while, I used colloidal oatmeal in my recipe, and it's been a while since I've used it, and I will tell you the reason, and this will be helpful, I think, to other soap makers who may not know, and also people who are using the product that may not know. Now, colloidal oats are, well, oatmeal in general is gluten-free, but it is very possible for oats to be cross-contaminated with other products that do contain gluten. So I stopped using it for the simple fact that I know a lot of people have celiac disease, and I know a lot of people have sensitive skin. And I did not want to be responsible for having a product in my soap that I was not 100% confident of what could possibly be in it. In other words, if it had been cross-contaminated, then I am subjecting someone to gluten, unbeknownst to them. And a lot of people don't have a reaction to gluten unless it is ingested. But there are people that have sensitivities to gluten, and it will affect them if they even get it on their skin. So that is why I stopped using colloidal oatmeal a long time ago, because I make soap so I can control what I put in it. And with that, I didn't feel like I had enough control. So that's why I do not use colloidal oatmeal. Okay, I'm going to do, let's see, equal parts of the pink, teal, and blue. I got to remember to put a little bit in these. I don't need much, just to do little stems and then little leaves. And also, I had, during this whole moving thing, I was so out of sorts, and I think my last video, the tulip video, showed how absolutely just, how much anxiety I had going on and all of that. Well, I will tell you what happened, and this also may be beneficial for people. Back in the end of November, beginning of December, I somehow got a little bit of lye or raw soap like this on the corner of my nose. And I think I may have mentioned it in another video. And so I burnt it a little. I immediately, rinsed it off and all of that. And it seemed okay. It was fine. Well, the next day it was quite red. So I had some prescription strength hydrocortisone cream from something else. It was a steroid. And I put that on it just to help with the redness, the inflammation, and it did burn a little bit. Well, I would see it getting better, so I'd stop putting it on, and then I would see it getting worse. So I would put it back on again. Well, this was a cycle that went on up until last week. And it got so bad last week that my husband had been begging me to go to the doctor. I said, but they're not going to know what it is. I had already diagnosed myself because I did some research, and I found out that when you have, when you put cortisone cream, it's a steroid. You know how steroid, many of you may know, may not know, if you take a steroid, my cord is hung up, an oral steroid, or it, hold on one second. It lowers your immune system. In other words, you can catch a cold easier, or the flu, or whatever. You don't have a strong of immune system. Well, it is the same thing. Your skin goes through the exact same thing with a topical steroid. And yes, I went through nursing school. Never did I learn that. Never had I read that in all of my reading. And what happened was, using the steroid cream was giving me temporary relief, but it really was not doing anything for it. In fact, it was thinning out the skin enough where I want to get some of the blue off here because I don't want this blue to mix with pink and give me purple. And it made the skin thin and made it susceptible to infection, which is what happened to me. And I can tell you that it was so upsetting to me because my face, it was perioral dermatitis is what I diagnosed myself with. And when I did go to the doctor, it was indeed that. And it was around my mouth. Peri means around and oral means obviously mouth. So it was around my nose and my mouth. And it was just like little bumps, but red, sore, raw. But it was horrible, okay? It went from just being a little bit irritated and bothersome, and I wouldn't wear makeup, you know, I would just keep it clean, and I just went on this vicious cycle and didn't want to go to the doctor because I'm like, they're just going to give me an antibiotic, it's going to come back, I've read this, and finally I was so, the week we were moving, it was just, had gotten so bad because stress can obviously lower your immune response, which is what happened. And so I went to the doctor and I got on an antibiotic. So, and this doesn't have to be a prescription strength cortisone cream or steroid cream that you're putting on your skin. This can be over the counter that can cause this as well. So any soap makers, you know, if you have a lye burn, just be careful if you're doing that because like I said, it's thinning out your skin. And it's very possible that you're opening yourself up to an infection. So I had to go on like a heavy antibiotic as well as 2 types of prescription strength cream for my face. And it started to clear up and get better within a couple of days. And I wished I had gone sooner, but I'm just very stubborn like that. I was like, I can, you know, take care of this myself. I can figure this, and I couldn't. I needed an antibiotic. And so just be mindful of that. I like to point those things out because like that, and then of course the colloidal oats and the gluten, you know, I think information is power, and if I have something that I can share that, you know, may help someone else not go through what I went through, then I'm happy because it was not fun. I mean, there was one night I sat here and just cried and because it was like raw skin and it had gone under my nose, like where my nostrils are. And I'm like, what in the world? Do I have like hand, foot, and mouth? Do I have impetigo? And all the research, I mean, hours of research I spent, and no, it was none of those. And it was something that I did to myself because I didn't know, and all because of a lye burn back in December. So, with that being said, I just thought I would offer that little bit of information. Oh good, this isn't ricing, so I'm happy about that, because I don't like ricing. Ricing is like curdly, gross looking. back. I'm going to go ahead and try to pipe the flowers. My pink is set up enough to pipe. The green and the brown have not, and I knew they weren't because I didn't stick blend them and I didn't even put fragrance in them, so they're kind of runny. So I don't think I'm going to end up doing the stem. I think I'm just going to do like the flower down the center and then maybe add a couple of leaves to it once the green thickens up. But I'm using tip 104 Wilton, and it is a rose tip. So I'm just going to start with the, let's see if you guys can see the bigger end downward. Let's see. And the leaves, I mean, they're kind of separate. They're definitely 5 separate leaves. So I don't know if you guys can see, but I just gotta try to get the hang of it a little bit before I but I also don't want to make them too big because I want them to be on each bar. This one appears to be a little bit big. Okay, that's not really a good one, so that was kind of a practice one. It's got a couple more leaves than it's supposed to, or petals. Okay, so you kind of start at the center and you want to kind of give it pressure, go up and pull back. And the next one kind of goes underneath it a little bit. I think it's really hard to do when you're limited on the space that you have. So I think what I'm going to do, and I just decided this just now, that has more petals as well, but I don't think it really matters. It's the thought that counts. This one looks really weird, so I think what I'm going to do is just kind of place them down the soap. So each bar will get one or part of 2. That way I have more room to do it. There's going to be more than 5 petals on these. It's just the way it is. definitely not pipeable yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and add these little sugar pearls to the center of these just for some variation, I guess, some added something. If I want to do the green leaves or not. I guess I will. I don't know. I think it looks okay how it is, and I don't want to screw it up, but I'll just go ahead and add a few and see how it looks. It's still kind of runny, but I was tired of waiting. I have other soap to make. The next day to cut Plumeria. That's the one side that had the Tahitian teal. That's the side that had the blue. As you can see, there was a little bit of soda ash on them that discolored the or just kind of made the flowers a little lighter. It's not terrible. See, sometimes I don't get it, sometimes I do, and mostly I don't. And I sprayed alcohol on this, which I don't always do. And sometimes I think the alcohol makes it worse. I don't know if that sounds weird because people swear by it, but in my opinion, ooh, what a fun swirl. Kind of looks a little bit like a sideways heart. And the fragrance is still nice and strong. It smells good. I like it, it's different. I'm videoing. So these bars will be available in about 4 weeks. If you're interested, just message me on Facebook. One thing I recommend doing if you buy my soap, or I guess any handmade soap, obviously they're going to last longer the longer that you have to keep them out of like sitting water, and they will last longer. You know, put them on a soap dish or something that drains. Also, what I recommend is cutting it in half. If you have a nice big bar like this, just cut it right in half and just use half of it in the shower at a time, or next to the sink, or use half in the shower and half in the sink. It's easier to handle too if it's a smaller bar. And then it's like having 2 bars, kind of. Or, if you're like me, I like to switch them out. Every once in a while I'll use something besides my rice flour and shea. So I'll just have them in half bars. I'll just cut one more. Okay guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.